What up, YouTube? Nigga, it's your boy SL. That's that little nigga, little shadow in the background. Just doing what we do, just post it up. But yeah, I'm kinda high. This with this. Now I'm playing with y'all. But nah, man, I'm just trying to see what's popping. You know, your boy's turning 23. Grrr. That nigga Lynch is crazy. I've been bumping that shit all day. Called Hanger Strangler is the business. But yeah, shout out to Strange Music, Tech Nine, Chris Calico, Cut Calhoun, Brother Lynch Hung, all the real niggas. But yeah, I'll holla.